And we're back with AM Live, and we have Leslie Vasquez, who is an artist and instructor here on our show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. How are you doing?
You are so beautifully painted up.
Thanks. It's part of a competition that I entered with the local arts council called River Reflections. And I know I've been on before and mentioned it, but I didn't really talk about what this competition was all about. And so I wanted to come on today and discuss it a little bit. The Arts Council got together with East Bay Mud, who sells a lot of the water to 1.4 million people in the Bay Area. And then they also got involved with the Foothill Conservancy, who protects the Moke River. And they all got together, and I don't know who came up with the idea, but they came up with the idea of doing an art competition. And so they asked a lot of artists. They asked fine artists. They asked poets. They asked a lot of pottery people, some jewelers, any kind of art form to come and be involved, musicians as well, and put in ideas they had for art pieces based on the Moke River.
Okay.
So I got news of this, and I couldn't sleep. And I was up till like 4 a.m. one day thinking, what am I going to do? Because I spent a lot of time backpacking, kayaking, rock climbing, those kind of activities. I love the Moke River. And to me, it's something really special. And
I agree.
yeah, and so I can just sit by the edge of the water, and I get profound thoughts. And it's like, there's something about this river. And so I was like, what am I going to paint for this? Because I do oil paintings too. So I was I was looking at my oil paintings, and I was thinking, what concept can I come up with for this that would depict this? And I started jotting down some notes and stuff, and I was like, they asked me to paint this river. That's impossible. I mean, how do you paint this?
Such expanse.
Yeah, this expanse. I mean, from the top, the very top, over the Highland Lakes and by Mount Reba, where I backpacked in there, and all the waterfalls, and just this river that just kind of is the sculpture, or sculptor of the canyon. And I'm like, that's the artist, the river, not me. And I was like, what am I going to do? And how am I going to pull this off? And all the sounds that come with it and everything. I mean, there's just so much to this river. And so I came up with, my first idea was I'm really good with doing the eyes on animals when I oil paint, and everyone says I have a way with eyes. And I thought, well, maybe I can take those techniques that I use with eyes and kind of paint the river that way with, the water almost looking like the eyes of the soul, or the mirrors to the soul, they say, the eyes are the mirrors to the soul. And I'm like, oh, the river is like the mirror to the soul of creation. I mean, the water is so powerful, it's so strong. It can move boulders and break rock and stuff and break granite. And we are conceived and then born with water. And we have water moving through our bodies. We need clean water to drink and be healthy. All the plant life that gives us fresh air needs water. I mean, everything needs water. The wildlife. And I was like, yeah, this is good. And I came up with that idea, and I was like, no, this isn't even touching on how I feel. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I came up with a second concept, and I went ahead and put both of them in. And the Arts Council took the second one because they said they have a lot of other arts that were similar to what I was talking about with the other piece. And they said, but they hadn't had anybody talk about turning themselves into a statue or a fountain and becoming the river.
So a live piece of art.
A live piece of art. So I'm a face painter and a body painter, so I started to work with that idea as the river is a woman, and thinking about that. And I basically painted myself with face paints to look almost like granite. And I built this costume that I don't have with me today that looks like boulders. And I have river rocks from the Moke River that are on the costume. So the water runs down, it comes up through me and runs out and comes down the costume and flows down the rock skirt to look like it's going down a waterfall. And then water's tubed up through me, and water comes out my fingertips.
Oh, amazing.
And my husband's a musician in the band After Dark.
Oh,
and so I asked him, and I gave him only 3 days to do this, and I said, would you give me some music? So he very quickly, and I said, I want some Native American in there, I want some Mexican in there, I want some, just everybody in there. So that has to do with the river. And he's like, all right. So he came up with some music, and I move and dance slowly to music. And then I also put in some spoken words. So he then did like this poem and spoke this while I was moving.
Amazing creativity between the two of you.
It was fun. It was fun. And a local guy, Mike Bowers, helped me because he does fountains.
I know Mike.
You know Mike?
Fabulous guy.
He used to play in a band with my husband. So
Right.
I called him up and said, Mike, I need your help. I need to have water coming out of me.
Mr. Construction there.
He's like, you want to do what? You know, Mike. So he helped me out. He got me all tubed up so I can have water that actually flows out of me. I stand in a pool of water and I do this movement, and then I realized I have electricity and water together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
Geez.
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
Don't try this at home, kids. But I ended up calling another friend who used to play in a band with my husband, Nick Godman, from up here, and he's an electrician. And so he helped me out with making sure I had the right breaker on it. So that
Good idea.
And sure enough, I did have some problems the first time that nobody noticed except me, but the first time I performed it in Sutter Creek at the reception there, I had one of the tubes came apart and water spewed out onto my husband's PA system during the performance. And I'm like looking at him and he's like, no, keep going.
You'll be fine.
But I was so glad I had that breaker in case, you know, I would have gotten electrocuted. So I didn't. Thank you, Nick. Nick Godman, I really appreciate that. So I'm going to perform this again if people have missed it. And they're having another reception in Moke Hill on March 14th. The whole thing is from 2 to 5 because all the other art is inside, and there will be musicians and things
Are you going to be
playing.
outside then?
I'm going to be outside the front just for the first about 20 minutes. Although the last time I performed it, people stayed and wanted to see it more. So I actually ended up doing 2 encores. But so I stayed longer. But the first 20 to 30 minutes, I'll be outside and I'll be performing this statue, this living
it's
fountain,
where at?
if you will, at the Ledger.
At the
Is that how you say it? Ledger, the Ledger Hotel. And I hope it's not going to be freezing cold.
Any idea?
I'll be there from about 2 to 2:20, 2:30.
Oh, okay.
Doing that.
So if we want to see specifically you,
Yes.
2 to 2:30-ish.
Yeah, and then I'm going to change into a dry costume, and I'm going to walk around. And someone said about the last time I did it, they said the river flowed through our...
If people want information, they can call the Hotel Ledger, or is that the best way?
Probably go to the Arts Council's website,
Okay.
amateurarts.org.
Okay.
AmateurArts.org. Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much for being on the show. We'll be right back. Stay with us.